Peace, people. This is Sue, aka I mean Sha. Nah. I always say that wrong. It's I mean Sha, aka Sue, aka mean nice, aka I mean Dessalines, aka I mean business, aka the man with 1,000 names, aka the man with too many names to remember. And you are watching Always for Black. And the always is many different ways to be for our people, whether it's mentoring, education, business, whatever it is that you do, as long as you're not cooning, we salute you. And the Black is an acronym for Building Lives Through Awareness and Conscious Knowledge. Shout out to the co-owner, Miss Baba. Shout out to Jay. And shout outs to everybody that support and from Facebook, from our podcast, and we're growing the YouTube channel. And we gonna really be pumping out more videos and putting more work to the YouTube channel coming up. So, and I joined again by my co-host Nate, and this is Politics as Usual, episode 14. What's going on, Nate?
Oh man, what's going on?
Man, ain't nothing too much, man. Rough weekend with the Philando Castile verdict. Officer Geronimo Yanez was acquitted of all charges. And it seemed like this is a continuing theme that always happens.
Right.
So I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Long weekend, just like you said. Hold on one second. Here, not go. Hold up.
Yeah, you kind of low.
Hold up. Let me hold on one second. Let me come this route here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're a little bit low, but I can hear you.
Cool. All right. So, brother Sue, going long weekend doesn't surprise me. But I'm not even gonna lie. This hit me really hard. I was really hurt this weekend. And it's almost like it's sad that we say we brace ourselves and we know what the outcome is going to be. But for some reason, this really hit me really hard to where I had to take a minute and really get myself together. And I think, the saddest part with this whole thing was, they couldn't even get a manslaughter conviction with a baby girl in the back seat, with a little girl in the back seat. And a little girl could not humanize Castile in this Philando Castile in this situation. And I think that's where the reality set in with me, that we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and I agree completely. Even though I was expecting this decision, it still didn't make it any easier when it came. It was like a punch in the gut, because basically what they're saying is open season on Black people. That all a police officer have to do is say that they fear for their life, and they can just kill you. It doesn't matter if the fear is reasonable or not. And we discussed this a lot on the Always for Black podcast. We have a podcast called The Culture that comes on Sunday. We discussed it there. We did another show on Friday. And you could go to alwaysforblack.com for that. But on this particular show, as usual, we know that it just can't be a political solution, because we have to attack on all fronts. But because this show is dedicated to politics specifically, I just wanted to ask Brother Nate, is there anything we can do politically to help stop this nonsense that's going on?
Well, politically, I believe that we have two things. First thing is, like we talked about when we first started our show, you have to get involved in your local politics. You have to get a mayor, wherever you're at, who believes in police reform. If you have a mayor who believes in police reform, you will start to see things change. Why? Because we know that the mayor governs, is pretty much the executive over the police force. So the mayor would then hire his police chief, or whatever city you're in, however It is. Sometimes it's chief. Sometimes I think it's like what's the other term they use? One is a police chief. I think there's like other terms for them. What are they?
I'm not sure. I just
I
know
think
chiefs.
yeah, I know there's chiefs, but I think there's other. It depends on what part of the country you're in. There's other terms, but we're used to police
I know counties they have sheriffs, but a lot of sheriffs is over. At least in my local area, the sheriffs is controlled by the county, and they
Right,
control stuff like the holding center.
right. Yeah, I think it's another. I can't think about it right now. Long day. But the police chief pretty much controls the culture. Well, I take that back. The mayor controls the culture of the police department. So I think it starts there. I think number one, holding mayor candidates accountable for police reform in your cities, like going local and literally saying we will not vote for you. We believe in vote unless you talk about what you're doing with police reform in our city. And then going on there, holding those city councilmen accountable, who's then meeting with the mayor and literally like, yo, you won't get our vote unless you're talking police reform and putting pressure on the mayor to make things right. So that's kind of like the first thing I'm there. I want to save the later. I want to save my second one, and these are my only two options for later when I briefly touch on education a little bit.
Man, I said almost exactly the same thing, but the problem I'm running into right now is that people don't want to hear it right now. And that's a major problem because I feel like when we talk about solutions, a lot of times politics get left to the back burner for whatever reason. A lot of people don't fully understand politics.
Right.
Because I was having this debate as it is because people say where there are already laws on the books. But my argument is, yes, there already is laws on the books where this shouldn't be happening, but you want to make the law as clear as possible.
Right.
As clear as possible. And when you make it as clear as possible, it doesn't leave any wiggle room.
Right.
That's where we need to get to. And I'm having a hard time making people understand that. And I think it's our job to really forcefully drive that point home because I mentioned this on a podcast. We was having a little debate. And the other side, they don't stop. They don't stop at all. When I mentioned like the Voting Rights Act of 65, we thought that was settled. But what happened a few years ago, they got the Supreme Court to overthrow a section of the Voting Rights Act that basically dealt with states.
Right.
In southern states, where southern states, wherever they want to make a change, they had to report to the federal government. That's part of the Voting Rights Act. That got overturned. And what happened since that? A whole bunch of voting ID laws been passed and stuff like that. So the other side, they don't stop. They don't care if it's 20, 25, 40, 50 years later. They stick with that issue and they don't give up. With us, we take a L sometimes and we just give up, just like, okay, fuck that. There's nothing we can do. Let's just go this route. It's time to do this. It's time to be about that action. And I'm like, okay, let's slow it down. What do you mean about that action? Because we're not about that action when we're not showing up to local elections, as you mentioned.
Right.
We having prosecutors, we having judges that is running unopposed.
Right.
Unopposed. Not even a primary challenge. In too many districts, they basically appointees for life, and it shouldn't be like that.
Right.
Because we should be able to challenge them, and we are not doing that. I think I'm going to be more aggressive with driving home that point because I'm hearing a lot of keyboard gangster shit, because for one thing, I know I've been hearing people say like, now the only thing we could do is basically like, pick up arms and stuff like that. And I'm telling them like, always defend yourself. But
we're not gonna
first thing before you even think about that,
we're not gonna win that.
What if they turn off the electricity?
Right.
We don't control electricity. Do you know how to fish? Do you know how to hunt? Do you know how to grow your own food?
Are you doing any of that right now?
Do you know how to do self-defense yourself? Because a lot of us not in shape. A lot of us don't know martial arts or boxing or anything. You know what I'm saying? So you calling for something that, as a whole, we're not even prepared for. You know what I'm saying?
And not even talking that, bro. Can I hate to cut you off?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to respond to that part, but then also we got if the police can't control it, what do? Now we getting the National Guard involved. We don't have the weapon. We're not built for that. We're not. That's just an unrealistic solution. There's no way. You're talking about getting people slaughtered.
Right.
If you're going down that road, that's not that. I say that would last a day, one day, if that. I just have to be real. We have to come up with real solutions, just like you said. We got to start affecting the political process, engaging our young people. But you know what I even think about? I think even going into our schools and talking to our 17-year-olds to say, hey, well, you know what? Hell, we got to start a little younger. Talking to our teenagers, hey, don't get in trouble. Don't catch a charge. Don't go to jail. We need you to vote. Because if people can see how all of that tie together and like, look, you can't be talking about the man and this right here and all the way the system is set up and you're going out here getting your butt locked up. No, we need you out here because when it's time for us to vote for a candidate or we even put a candidate up because this person's running the polls, we're there. And literally when people start seeing, hell, the only way I'm going to be elected, I talk police reform and I make sure that police reform is going on. That don't happen, people will put me out. Trust me, everybody want to stay in power. We got to start affecting it that way. That's
right. And let me just finish that last point.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm not saying don't defend yourself because we do need some type of force in our community for several different reasons. Not just with police officers. You got these crazy white militia groups all over the woods practicing. Like in Mississippi, a man got found decapitated, no head. You know what I'm saying? We finding black men hanging from trees.
In Atlanta, they never really solved that case.
Right. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm not on just completely civil stuff because we definitely need to protect ourselves. And that's one aspect of it. That's one aspect we need to get healthy. We need to get ready for some stuff because you're going to need to defend yourself if you caught out there. I don't want to see any more black men caught hanging from trees. You know what I'm saying? If we can't get our Second Amendment rights going, let's do that. But that's another problem because we don't own hardly any gun stores. We don't manufacture them either. That's another problem. And oftentimes, because I have a right to carry. And I want to touch on a few things with this. This is one of the reasons this case hit home for me, too, because I have a legal right to carry as well. And Philando Castile, he did everything right in that situation. The law is you're supposed to identify that you do have a weapon. He did that, did everything right. And he still ended up getting shot multiple times. And after he got shot, they administered no first aid. They let him bleed out. And that's becoming a theme, too. Like, as soon as you shoot them, shouldn't you try to save their life? No, you just let them bleed. That's one thing. And the other thing, go back to the Second Amendment point. A lot of times you go to these gun stores, some of them are just straight up white supremacists, and you got to go buy weaponry for people that hate you. And you actually, even though you getting, your bullets and stuff like that, or your weapon, you actually supporting a white supremacist business a lot of times. I'm not saying all gun stores owners are white supremacists, but a lot of them are. And this should teach you that too, because where have the NRA been? The NRA have been definitely silent about the Philando Castile case. Definitely silent. Philando Castile's Second Amendment right was violated. NRA, nowhere to be found. So I just wanted to touch on that point right there real quick.
Hey, well said, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as realistic solutions go, like I said, we got to attack it in all levels because it almost go hand in hand. Economics play a big key because I gave this example too a few times. If you take Jewish people, like people know in this country, Jewish people have a lot of power, but and around the world actually, but that didn't happen overnight because at one point in time they were discriminated against too. And I know at least Jews in America, they look white, so it's a little bit different. But they was talking about a Zionist state in the 1800s, 1890s, when they felt like they was getting discriminated against. Mm-hmm. And that didn't come about till what, 1948?
Yep, with Israel.
So they was plotting this for years on end. It just didn't happen overnight. And Jews, they a small percentage of the population in this country, although many of them look white in America. You know what I'm saying? A lot of white supremacists don't consider them white, pure white supremacists. Even don't get me wrong, there's a lot of racist Jewish people against black people too. So I'm not saying that's not the case either. But as far as pure white supremacists, a lot of them have arguments amongst themselves whether Jews should be included. You know what I'm saying? If you go to the alt-right, Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, a lot of them don't like him because he is Jewish. You know what I'm saying? But it's nothing really that the white supremacists can do with Jewish people in this country because they have a solid economic base. There's never been a Jewish president. It's not really that many Jewish people in Congress. But Jewish didn't get done in this country. Why? Because they have a solid economic base. They have power behind them. You know what I'm saying? So it's just not one front. And another thing I want to briefly say is this. We can't just keep talking. Whatever you're talking, you got to be about that action. So I talk economic development. I'm starting a business. Actually, my business is already up, a legitimate business, brick and mortar type of business. I got that and I got online stuff too. But I actually have something where people can come buy a product, you know what I'm saying, right in the store. Not wrong with online business either, but if you're going to talk about economic development, you have to be about that. If we're talking about political reform, we have to be about that. If we're talking about educating the youth, we got to be about that. We got to start mentoring because, unfortunately, I think a lot of people in our generation and up, a lot of them, not everybody, a lot of them is just going to be lost, man, because we don't got the mentality at home as a whole. We're going to have to start changing their mentality at a young age.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Hold on. There's some kids outside playing. Let me close that door. Like I would go ahead, talk for a little bit while I close this door.
I got you.
So the kids outside don't make too much noise.
Gotcha. No, but just like I'm saying, I agree with that. We got to talk the talk and walk the walk. Economically, we have to get some things in place. But I think the biggest part that we have to figure out right now is what lane we're going to be in. And what I mean by that, I realize that there is so much that we have to do, you can easily get overwhelmed. But if we put our most talented people or people who just want to be engaged in the process, if everybody found out what they were passionate about and say, yo, I'm going to do this, I'm going to master it, we're going to hit it, we can do this. If we can stay in our lane and really attack each issue as a whole entire group, we can come up with that long-term goal. You're right. Jewish people didn't get that. They didn't fall into a state. No, they talked about that 200 years before they even got started.
Right. And that's the way we're going to have to go about it. Also, I think I want to start a mentoring program. It's something that I've been working on, but you kind of got to do stuff in strategies. Like my plan was start a media company, which I did. Still growing that.
Yeah.
Starting another business, which I'm doing, and then leading to the nonprofit and mentoring, because I always think you get more traction if somebody can look at what you're doing instead of just, cheerleading from the sidelines. When you're telling somebody to do something, you have no experience at it, it's kind of hard.
Right.
It's hard to do that, And when we talking about politics as well, I don't think I ever told this to the audience, but I did used to intern at City Hall here in my city for a city councilman. It was just an internship while I was in school. So I know if a bunch of people is calling about one issue, it does make a difference, especially locally. So when I tell you this, it makes a difference. Also, if you donate to somebody like a city council person or the mayor, it doesn't even have to be a ton of money. They listen to you a little bit more. That unfortunately, that's the system we have. But we have to start thinking about it like that. We do. We definitely need to get some lobbyists. I know there's some people trying to change the money in politics law, which, I support. But in the meantime, we have to get involved, man. We don't have enough lobbyists in DC that actually lobbying on our behalf on real issues. So it's just a lot to do. It's a lot to do. It's a lot to take in.
Yep, I agree. And like I said, I got to start identifying other people so we can just focus on that one area. Or, if we have two, let that be the two areas. You got to start putting in place.
Yeah. And also, before we get out of here, you said we did touch on education last episode. Did I don't know, the connection started messing up. So was there any more points in our education discussion you wanted to hit on?
Well, I was actually going to tie the two together. Just last year, the NCAA made $995.9 million. That's what the NCAA revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Our people may not want to have this conversation, but if we really want to be serious about this, we may have to get to the place where we tell our people, look, don't send your child to the Division I school until stuff is changed. You can hear me on that?
It's kind of low. Like, I don't know how it's picking up in the audience, but you like really, really low.
Can you hear me now? It echoes. It's echo. I got an echo, but I'm gonna finish. I'm not gonna get cut off. All right.
Yeah.
So what I was saying is the NCAA made $995.9 million last year. If we're really serious about these issues and what we're going to be doing, we're going to have to start talking from our family and our friends. They don't need to send their child to a school in Minnesota where somebody was killed. I'm sorry. I know we want to go to these Division I schools to make it into a professional league, but we're really going to have to look at where we send our children. Because until we fix things economically, we're not going to see any changes. If I can keep killing you and you're still going to come play for me, then how am I going to ever change?
Right. And we're going to sign off for today's episode. Hopefully the audio wasn't too bad. And just keep pushing. Don't give up. I know things look bleak, but man, you got to fight to the end. It's time for us to get serious. It's time for us to get active. And I'm going to be pushing heavily for us to do so. So this is Sue. I mean Shy. I mean Desaline. I mean Nice. Oh yeah, I forgot my other name earlier. The bow-legged assassin. And we signing off. Make sure you check out alwaysforblack.com. Go to alwaysforblack.com. We stream music 24/7. We also got podcast series. We got some articles. We got a little bit of poetry that we started on there. So make sure you check out alwaysforblack.com. Sue sign off. Peace.